the event, and after a couple of poor races to start off, and yeah, the relationship with Blackers to work together and come out from a sticky situation, let's say, again makes it all that much more special at the end of the event. Yeah, I guess, yellow bib, yellow mark, yellow dot in the sail. It all starts to become a reality at this point. I think this is probably the medal race, I think. So, yeah, a pretty surreal experience to be leading by 23 points going into the medal race and knowing that bar a catastrophe and some penalty points that you've won the gold medal, and to go out and really enjoy that race and soak in the whole experience was something that I'll never forget, and very honoured to have that opportunity, and it was just an incredible day, and being able to enjoy the sights of an Olympic Games medal race. This one makes me a little bit emotional. Having not seen Emma for a good part of 18 months. We had a brief period together with everything that had been going on with COVID, and then I guess with the whole protocols at the Olympic Games, we weren't really allowed to see each other. And I think at this point, Emma had been racing in the morning and I was in the afternoon, and Emma had hung around the boat park. She must have had a feeling that I was going to seal the deal before the medal race, and we got to have an embrace and walk the boat up together. And I guess the dream had become a reality, and we got to share it together, which was just amazing. And I think even though we both got masks on, you can see the emotion on our face, and again, an incredible experience to be able to share that with Emma. And the other side of the Olympics, I guess, people probably see everything that happens on the TV and the right side of the camera, but I guess this sort of depicts, you only see 3 cameras in there, but there's probably 100 meters worth of cameras and camera crews, and I chose to have a media blackout from the moment I arrived in Japan. So really the only time that I talked to the media was after that final day of racing, before the lay day, before the medal race, when things were signed, sealed and delivered, and we knew that could somewhat relax and enjoy the experience. So it was a crazy afternoon. Obviously you've had a bit of a roller coaster ride, and it's a good story for the media, and they want to talk about it. You haven't given them that opportunity for an entire week, and you're standing there in your sailing gear still. And I remember just putting the boat in the spot and basically just throwing down the rig and going straight there, and probably spending a good part of an hour talking to media, whether it was the Olympic broadcasting or Channel 7 or even other countries that just wanted a piece of I guess the history that we had made. And you don't really see this side, so it's really cool to have a photo to express that and see what we had to go through from a media point of view. But the glory shots. These are amazing photos, and I think you see in the bottom right corner that to have. We didn't get to have the fans, obviously, so that was a bit disappointing, but all the countries that people were competing in the medal race, and then Australia on the left, and to be able to stand there in your boat with the Australian flag in one hand and really soak it in was incredible. Even though there's limited people, I guess the noise that was coming off the rock wall was just amazing. It was a whirlwind of a moment, and I think on the top left, standing on the podium with the gold medal was the first opportunity since leaving for the water that they got to stop and really take in all the emotions and listen to the national anthem and just realise that the 12 years of hard work and sacrifice, and the delay of the year of the Olympics, and it was all worthwhile. So yeah, pretty incredible experience, that's for sure.
Sounds like that's the last photo. Oh. Not sure. We got a little bit of an echo. Maybe if you go on to mute. Is that better? Yeah. Cool. So we might kick into some questions. So thanks, Matt, for going through the photos. Really cool to see the images and see a little bit of emotion and be able to speak to that. We've got questions just pouring through, Matt, so I might just read them out, and then I'll turn on my mute and then you speak, so we don't have the opposite happen. But the first one is from Juha from Adelaide Sailing Club, and the question that Juha asked was, "Hi Matt, after your first two races didn't go very well in Tokyo, and you managed to climb up, what kind of mental preparation or strategy really helped you?" So I'll just pass that over to you, Matt.
Yeah, it's I guess for things that happen sort of behind the scenes that you see that we work with, obviously Blackers, but behind the scenes there's the psychologists and the mental training that you go through. I guess it's all for this moment, and you're never going to feel pressure or anxiety like you do at the Olympic Games. So yeah, Rosie's from the AIS. She's been part of the squad for many years. I think almost 10 years even. So been working with Rosie for quite a long time, and we had a lot of processes in place to help us. Obviously, this was the worst case scenario with a poor start, but to help us get through anything. So we really relied on those processes. It's almost like a safety net in some sense that you can really lean on it, and you know that each race is a new opportunity. So you just got to go and keep doing what you know you've trained for. And I also worked with the likes of Nam Baldwin on I guess more of a physical but mental side as well. And just using both of those, all the knowledge that I'd been given from those two, that we could really just knuckle down and keep chipping away. And we knew that obviously there was still 8 races left of the event and anything can happen. So it was all open and just had to go and execute. So I guess to answer the question, we just kept doing what we needed to do. Obviously it was stressful, but we prepared for that with Rosie and Nam, and we were ready to go and fight.
Thanks, Matt. The next question is from Aidan Simmons, and he asks, "What support do you get from the AST?" And that's the end of the question there. Yeah,
the AST is probably the backbone of the campaign. Without their support, not just from the coaching point of view, but you also have the whole management side where they, your logistics and organisation, they put everything in place to make sure that you can not just go to the Olympics and perform well, but World Championships and your travel in Europe and overseas. So I guess they're the backbone, and that's where the majority of your funding and ability to go overseas comes from. So you rely on them heavily, and obviously they do a great job in hiring the coaches that we need to go and have success, and the likes of Blackers and Ash and things like that to not just bring through at the top level, but also to filter in the youth sailors as well. So have AST a lot to thank for the success, that's for sure.
Good answer. The next one's from Graham Brown at Middle Harbour Yacht Club, and he says, "Michael Blackburn mentioned you're a little bit slower in lighter breezes. What training or racing did you undertake to improve in that area? Because it obviously worked."
Yeah, I think as soon as the selection was made, we sat down and identified that the light air was not at a level that if we had a week of it, we could win a gold medal. So we needed to make sure that we had that opportunity. And I think, yeah, we made some good progress at the end of 2019 and the start of 2020 before COVID kicked off. But then, in some sense, the extra year that we had was, was of good benefit, and we could really focus and target the light air. We travelled around Australia and made sure that we went to places like Yeppoon was quite a good place for the light air, Mooloolaba as well. And we just really ticked off the boxes. We made sure that we were doing lots of speed first and foremost, and then transitioning that into racing scenarios where you're a little bit more stressed and tensed up. And I feel like we made some really big improvements really quickly, which obviously set us up really well for Japan. And I think it was even sweeter that the gold medal was sealed on a light air day in about 4 knots. So it was quite nice to put all that hard work to good use.
Okay, Matt, the next question is from Ben Blyford at RPAYC, Royal Prince Alfred Yacht Club in Sydney. What do you believe gave you the ultimate edge to win gold? Time on the water, boat handling, boat speed, tactics. Is there any one thing?
Yeah, there's definitely not just one thing. There's obviously multiple that go into winning a gold medal, but all of the above really. But I think for us, the edge is the group that we have in Australia with the squad. Obviously, the likes of training against people like yourself, Ash, from when I was first coming in, and Ryan Polk and Jared West, Tom Slingsby was even. I had a 1-year crossover with him. So. And of course TB. So those battles, you really look back and you understand that how much that helped. And even now we've got a bit of a generation shift with some younger talent coming through, and it's just amazing that I guess now I've shifted from the newbie into one of the top guys in the team. So you really rely on that, and that battle with Tom for the selection was although it was one of the hardest things I had to go through with the selection, that without that we wouldn't have been ready for the Olympics, and I think that gives us the ultimate edge.
The next one seems to be from a bit of a joker in Bernard McCartney. He said, so in the medal race, why didn't you just sail around and come last by 50 metres? Or is that why you're an Olympian and I'm not? What do you have to say to
that? Maybe. I think as an athlete, you don't want to do bad. You're hungry to win regardless. And Blackers and I both sat down before the medal race and just discussed what we wanted to do on the day. And we both agreed that it looks bad on TV when you cross the line in last place, and it's a bit confusing for people why you've won a gold medal if you've come last. So we didn't want that anticlimax, and we wanted to go out and finish off strong. And obviously the aim was to win the race, but a second place was just as good. And just to assert that position at the front of the fleet as well.
Good answer. Stephen Funkhauser in Chelsea Yacht Club. The televised footage was particularly good, especially on the boat. What hardware was being used? Was there also any other analytics provided, such as boat speed?
It was amazing. I've only just been able to start watching back on the footage, and I think they did an amazing job. That usually there's quite a big bulky camera mount on the front of the boats, and this time around they're literally just using iPhones. Obviously enough charge for a few hours out in the water, and they somehow would, through Wi-Fi and things like that, they would be able to remotely turn them on. And we also had little microphones in our life jacket, or our vests over our life jackets. So the technology was amazing, and I do believe there's some analytics somewhere, but potentially only for the commentators to see and for them to commentate on. But I'm sure they're somewhere available. But yeah, the technology was amazing, and even the cameras out in the water, they had a big panoramic camera that was for the live TV at the boat park, which never seen before. So yeah, I think it was probably one benefit of COVID was that they potentially worked a bit more on the online side of things, which was amazing.
Cool. Okay, the next question is from Chris Dance. So the question is, after your first day's results, who do you think was the most worried? Yourself, Blackers, or the selection committee on their decision? Yeah, I think there would have been a few stressed people back home for sure with the obviously the tight selection. And yeah, I think probably no one more than myself. You don't want to let down not just yourself, but obviously Blackers, everyone back home. And even TB in some sense that, you've taken away an opportunity from someone else, and if you don't perform to your best, then that would probably weigh down on you quite heavily. So yeah, I think after those first two races, there were several stressed people. I'm sure there's plenty of people back home as well that would have been a bit worried for me, but obviously we can all in hindsight, we can all be smiling at the end of it, but it was looking a bit dire at one point. It certainly was. The next question is about almost exactly that. So it just said the live tracker in race 2, this is from Graham Brown at Middle Harbour Yacht Club, and he said the live tracker in race 2 showed you were doing turns just before the start. If the tracker was correct, what happened? Yeah, I guess after the first race being at that time, I thought it was definitely going to be my drop. So the risk that I could take was quite low, and there was quite a biased start line with a reasonably one-way track, so you had to fight quite hard. And I had another boat come in a situation that was probably 50-50 and someone that I felt I couldn't rely on in a protest situation. So I guess a split-second decision to do my penalties and exonerate myself. And I think there was probably about 40 or 45 seconds to go to the start when it happened. So I also thought that there'd be ample time to do a spin and get myself back in. But we had a down-flowing current that day. So I ended up a bit further away from the start line than I originally thought would be the case. And obviously it was on the back foot. But I couldn't afford to have a DSQ. So at that point in time, it seemed like the right decision. Good recovery. The next one is from Chujiang in China. What is the step-by-step process that you and Blackers go through to get to such a high level and then stay there? Well, wouldn't you like to know? We'll be moving on to the next question. The next question is from Caroline Brewer, and it is, where do you buy your bottled Gherkin juice? That was a tricky one in Japan. Like we had some good chefs that supplied that for me. Nah, I am not a fan of pickle juice. Just to be clear, that was a complete stitch up by Sam Ellis, and it's good to see that the joke is still going. Nice. The next one's from Duncan Gregor. What are the processes that you normally go through before a race? Yeah, it's relatively simple. We just work on the boat speed for the day, for the conditions that we've got. And then work closely with Blackers on any trends we think might happen out in the water, and work out the start line bias and which way we need to go for the first upwind, and basically go from there. We are constantly updating our information while we're racing, but work quite closely with Blackers out in the water, and get all the information we possibly can in that time before a race, and go from there. Cool. The next question is from Steve Clifford at Summers Yacht Club in Victoria, and he asks, What plans do you have next, Matt? Paris 2024, and what else?
Yeah, I guess the overall goal now is to go for Paris. Obviously, only 3 years away as well. That it's going to be quite a quick cycle, and yeah, for myself, that no one in the laser has gone back-to-back gold, and that's a really big motivator for myself to have that opportunity and go and do that. So yeah, I guess that's the goal. But as well, I've been close in 3 occasions to winning a world championship, and I really want to make that happen. So I guess reasonably short term for 2022, that's the next goal, and yeah, keep chipping away and try to get to Paris again.
The next one, Matt's from Wearne Gherkin at Canberra Yacht Club. Did you approach the Olympics differently to any other championship?
I guess overall the easy answer is no, but at the same time you need to respect that it is the Olympics. So so we're fully aware of the pressures and the anxiety that you'll experience. So definitely didn't try to just suppress that feeling and sort of just take it all in. But as far as an on water side goes and the processes that we did, we didn't change anything to different from a world championship or a European championship. So try to keep it as simple as possible and as controlled as possible, I guess.
Nice. The next question is from Martin Donnelly at BSYC. I think that's Brighton Seacliff Yacht Club in Adelaide. And so his question is, what advice do you have for young kids getting into sailing now?
Yeah, I think if I remember back to when I first got into sailing, that it was really just an enjoyable sport, and I loved being out in the water, and it's easy to forget that when you start to campaign. So yeah, I guess the biggest thing is just to keep enjoying it, and yeah, I mean, there's not really any other sports where you can race against people of all ages, which was amazing, and I think it definitely opened my eyes to the world. And yeah, I think the biggest thing is just to keep enjoying the sport that we all are.
The next one is from the same, actually, Wearne Gherkin. It was just the second part. He said, "Why did the bang break on day one?"
Yeah, in some sense, we're still scratching our head a little bit. One of those freak things that the rope that I was using, it was like it was cut by a knife. So there must have just been a bit of a sharp edge on the block that we didn't pick up, and yeah, just one of those things that I guess in some sense we could have controlled it, but at the same time been using that block for some time, and that type of block and that type of rope. So yeah, I guess at the end of the day, the rope snapped, and yeah, not much you can do if it's not connected to the boom anymore.
The next one is from Jeff Loosemore at Middle Harbour Amateur Sailing Club. He said, "The bigger teams such as Oz and perhaps GBR seem to have difficulty in the first races of the regatta, whereas competitors from other countries such as Croatia seem to be more up to speed in the first race. Do you think that Oz needs to develop a strategy to get the Olympian used to being by themselves in a fleet?" Yeah, I'm sure it's probably in some sense a little bit of a coincidence, but yeah, it's definitely something that we've all talked about since the Olympics, and something that we definitely need to address, because yeah, from my point of view, that might not be so lucky next time if something like that happens. So yeah, you need to get off on the right foot and avoid the scoreboard pressure as much as possible. So yeah, I think between all of us, we'll be working on it, that's for sure. The next question is, notably, you had a media blackout during the Olympics. Why did you approach it that way, and what was leading you to that choice?
Yeah, I think again it's controlling what you can control, and obviously yeah, it's not necessarily the messages of that aren't supportive that you're worried about. It's almost all the messages of support that can affect you in a negative way. That obviously there's a lot of people back home that that want to wish you good luck and things like that, and it can be quite mentally draining to see all those popping up on your phone. So and obviously just the media wise itself as well, that yeah, they want to run stories, and for myself being yeah, high potential of winning a medal, that we knew that I was probably going to be in the media a little bit, and it's just easier to avoid that and not read it at all. So you never know how it's going to affect you mentally. So yeah, it's just easier to cut that out, and as well, it's just nice to have a little bit of a cleanse from the social media for a little while. So yeah, it has double benefit.
Thanks, Matt. Just another question that I've accrued. You've spoken quite a lot about Michael Blackburn. Did you have any other influential coaches in your pathway to gold? Yeah,
most definitely. Obviously, yeah, Blackers has been my coach for almost 10 years now, and I guess for the Olympic campaign, and so yeah, it's natural that you see Blackers in all the comments and things like that. But yeah, like you said, Ash, before, that Arthur Brett was a massive pivotal part in my career. That he had just started working at Fremantle Sailing Club when I transitioned into the laser, and definitely helped me set the foundations for my laser career. And with Arthur's wife Belinda, obviously a gold medalist herself, that she has a wealth of experience and has been a mentor of mine throughout even from the Optimist days. So yeah, I have both Arthur and Belinda to thank for plenty of my career. But yeah, going way back, of even in the Optimist, been lucky enough to have coaches from Peru with Diego, who was over in Australia for a bit. So I've been super fortunate to have some great coaches throughout my sailing career.
Another question from the vault. When you kind of got to the Olympics, how did you deal with your nerves, and how were you able to control yourself?
Yeah, it's almost like going back to what I said before with working with the psychologists, and you lean a lot on those processes and all the training that you've done before the event in the years prior, that you almost take some confidence that you have the ability to go do it. And so yeah, I guess, yeah, the pressure's there and you definitely feel it, but you have all the techniques and ability to deal with that. And yeah, it wouldn't be an Olympic Games without the pressure. So yeah, you just got to soak it in and use it as good energy.
Another question. What did you think it would take to beat Tom Burden for the Olympic selection for 16 and then 20?
Yeah, for both selections, it probably took the same. It would take the same thing, that you had to win regattas, and had to constantly be, and not just one regatta. You had to constantly be in the top three in events, and potentially winning all those events. So. Yeah, there was without a doubt that it was always going to be a tough fight, and I think that shows that the Worlds being won too in 2019. That yeah, that we're both at the top of our game and fighting as hard as we can to win that selection.
I've just got a couple more questions from the floor too, Matt. So the next one is, how did you deal with the heat out on the water in Tokyo? And this one's from Hamish McCall. Yeah,
it was an interesting one. We yeah, obviously had been there at that time of year for a few years, and yeah, the heat was always going to be a massive factor. So along with Zeit, the team sponsor, they're open to our suggestions on producing a set of hikers that I think you can see in some of the photos, that they ended up being perforated, so it had the holes in them to let the water flow in and let the heat out from the legs, and that was a massive benefit. That was probably the biggest biggest gain I reckon we had, especially in the windy conditions when you're really exerting yourself, because the water temperature is quite warm as well, so there's not much relief from that. But then between races, we had eskies full of ice, cold drinks, slushies, anything to really cool the core temperature down as much as possible. But yeah, with the suits, that was a big game changer and a massive edge that we had on the rest of the world, I think.
Cool. The next one is from Dave Higgins. Again, Brighton Seacliff Yacht Club down in Adelaide. Asked, what was the toughest moments in your sailing career?
Yeah, it's there's definitely been a few. I think in some of the earlier stages back in 2013, qualifying for the AST and then not performing at the following World Championships and not re-qualifying was quite a tough time, and you start to wonder whether you just got lucky or something like that. So that was definitely a hard time, and it took a lot of reflecting to get back into a mind frame that I could compete well enough. And I think without that setback, I definitely wouldn't have had the success in the later years. But then again, yeah, I think the coming second at the World Championships for the third time was quite a hard thing quite a hard pill to swallow. You start to wonder whether you can finish off at the big events, and that's quite hard to deal with. But yeah, I think without those setbacks, I wouldn't have been as hungry to win a gold medal as I was. So yeah, they're probably the two moments that really stick out.
The next one's from Bill Nixie at Saratoga Sailing Club. How do top laser sailors keep fit between regattas? Any tips for us amateurs? Sure, you got plenty.
Yeah, I think we spend a lot of time on the road bike. Yeah, that's probably my biggest cross training. Just staying fit, keeping the legs moving. But if we're not getting enough time on the water, then we'll sit on a hiking bench. Yeah, it's probably the less glamorous side of laser sailing, but yeah, it needs to be done, and yeah, it definitely comes with its benefits when it comes regatta time.
The next one is from Aidan McGrath, and he asks, how much time did you spend in the gym compared to sailing?
Yeah, for me, I'm a bigger guy, so as far as the gym's more about injury prevention and just staying strong in general, but not necessarily putting on muscle mass. So I spend a little bit less time in the gym than maybe some of the smaller laser sailors, but yeah, if I had to it's probably maybe compared to the sailing, it's probably 30% of the sailing time is spent in the gym for myself.
The next one is from Keith Chidsey at Connells Point Sailing Club. What advice could you give to young sailors to take the next step to the elite level?
Yeah, I think in some sense you just need to the Australian sailing team and the Australian sailing in general with the Futures program is a great opportunity to bridge that gap between your state programs and the national program. But I think just getting to regattas as well, the regatta experience, I know for myself that doing a lot of events in the youth days and getting that international experience was invaluable come the senior level. So yeah, I'd say probably the biggest tip is just to keep going to events and get that confidence up in a big fleet. So you're used to starting with more boats and things like that, and then that'll come good when you're at a senior level.
The next one is from a guy called Hans, and he asks, can you give an example of a day in the life of a training week at a high level?
Yeah, if I think of a typical day, it'll usually consist of getting up quite early, probably 6 o'clock rollout on the bike, spend a couple of hours on the bike in the morning, and then usually get the rest of the morning to sort of recover a little bit before we get on the water early afternoon. up to 3 hours on the water in the afternoon, depending on the conditions and things like that. And then usually depending on how the body's feeling, there's either some physio before sailing or some physio after sailing, just to keep on top of some niggling injuries and stuff like that. But then basically any other time in between is just, recovery time, or mentally doing some courses, or some people go to uni. So you sort of fill in your days quite quickly after spending 5 hours either on the bike or in the boat.
Thanks, Matt. The next one's from Steve Clifford. He says, "Can you expand on your comment about your earlier failures? Sorry. What did you learn that led to your recent successes?"
Yeah, I think from the initial disappointment from the Worlds in 2014, really started to understand that I started to focus on the results too much. And then when that happened, I wasn't enjoying my sailing anymore, and that had quite a big effect on how I sailed. So I guess that was a bit of a switch for myself to really just enjoy sailing and get back out and enjoy competing as well, and just to forget about the results, just to go and I guess follow the processes and enjoy that, and the results will come, and have faith in that as well. Was a big thing. So that's probably the initial one, and then I guess once I was at a top level and starting to medal at World Championships, that you've got what it takes, and you've just got to keep chipping away, I guess.
So there's 5 minutes left in the time, Matt, so we might go through a couple of questions, then we might call it there. The next one is from Jeff Loosemore at Middle Harbour Amateurs again. So did you find that on the first day before the pecking order was established that some guys were going crazy with attacking to get a bit of an edge?
Yeah, definitely. I think people go into the first day of the Olympics with some very lofty goals, and they want to make something special happen. So they're pretty happy to push the envelope. But I think for as well myself that I had somewhat of a target on my back as a boat they hadn't seen for almost 18 months as well, and they knew that I was going to come out fighting. So there was a few people that were pretty willing to attack hard on day one, and I think some of them succeeded and some of them didn't. So it was definitely interesting to watch that for sure on day one.
The next question comes from Ross Sayers, and Ross asks, what diet plan did you use prepping for the Olympics? Just a balanced, healthy diet. Now, we all agreed that Japan was going to be a somewhat lighter venue, so dipping a little bit of weight was on the high on the list. So just to lose a couple of kilos, but at the same time keeping strong and healthy at the same point. So I mean, it was just good, healthy, balanced diet, maybe cutting out a few carbs here and there to stop some weight gain, but at the same time getting enough fuel in to be able to train properly as well. The next question is, what do you think has made the Australian laser team so successful?
Yeah, I touched on it a little bit before with the squad mentality. Ever since I've been involved, there's been 5, even 6 guys in the squad, and at any one point they're good enough to be top 10, top 15 at a World Championship. So I think that strength in numbers, and everyone gets along really well and wants to work together really well. And I think especially in these last 18 months, that once I was selected, that they all have, apart from their own goals and ambitions of doing well at World Championships, they were there to help me win a gold medal, and you really appreciate that. So I think that's what makes Australian laser sailing so successful.
Final 2 questions. Who do you think's coming for you for the selection for 2024?
Without a doubt, all the boys will be. Obviously, Swifto, Luke Elliott, he's been there or thereabouts, had a top 10 at a World, so without a doubt he'll be pushing hard. And then some of the younger guys like Finn Alexander, Ethan McCauley, and Zach Littlewood, I have no doubt that they can make a rapid rise as well, even though the time's a bit shorter. But yeah, the talent's definitely there to push us. And yeah, whether I get selected or one of them does what I did to TB, without a doubt they'll be ready to win another gold medal.
I think that's what we want to hear in Australia, no doubt. The final question is from a guy in Middle Harbour, and his initials are MB, and he just asks, I've noticed on your training peaks that you've been gaining a bit of weight. How's your holiday going in Europe, and when are you coming back and getting into it?
Well, I think you answered your own questions with the gaining a bit of weight, that the holiday's gone pretty good. No, yeah, I was obviously on the lighter side in Japan, and probably more towards my natural body weight. But yeah, been enjoying some time off, having a few Belgian beers and some chocolates. But yeah, it's been a great holiday, and just to unwind after a pretty hectic 5 years. So yeah, especially the last 18 months. But yeah, I think this week I've officially got back into campaign mode and started to hit the gym again. And although I've been doing some cycling, a bit more specific cycling, so yeah, the campaign's well underway, and looking forward to getting back to Australia in November. And unfortunately the nationals have been cancelled, but looking forward to doing some events over the summer hopefully, and getting back training in the laser in December.
I hear you might be taking on some coaching in the next month as well. Maybe you can elaborate on that a bit. Yeah. Looking after the radial girls in Wearne at the Europeans. So that's exciting. I got to work with them a few years back now in Japan, and that was great. So we'll be looking forward to seeing how they've progressed over the years, and yeah, it would just be nice for myself as well to see the other side of an event for once, and see how the coaching role works, and yeah, hopefully make some stepping stones for further in my career. Thanks so much, Matt, for answering literally like 30 questions. We'll call it there. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight, and really big thanks to Matt for joining us from Europe. Lots of questions still coming in, Matt, but we'll call it there, and we wish you all a great night, and we'll just stick around a little bit, Matt, and then everyone else can sign out. So see you, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. Really appreciate it.